Entering the Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience Week 14 rankings debate and breakdown. I want to let everyone know there are two draws this week. If you want to get in for 20 DK bucks, step number one, smash that like button to the episode. Leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section. Let me know where you would rank Jalen Samuels in a PPR league at running back this week, and maybe where you'd rank another Pittsburgh Steelers running back, maybe even Stephen Ridley, where you would rank him. So I want to know those two things. Boom, you're in a draw for 20 DK bucks. I'll announce the winner on next Monday's live show, 10 a.m. Eastern time on the DraftKings YouTube channel, my Facebook page, my Twitter, my Periscope. So you can tune into any of those places, plus the audio podcast. You got to do that. And that is where the second draw comes into hand. I did this last week as well. That if you go to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast on whatever platform that you listen to it on, probably iTunes, based on the numbers, it's iTunes, that we're still in this race to get to 10 million downloads for 2018, and nothing helps out more than you downloading the show like 20 times in a row and doing it for every episode. But other than that, you can just leave a review. So a 5-star review, your DraftKings handle, something nice about the show, and you will be in a draw for 20 DK dollars. I give around. There drew two guys last week, Gary.
There you go.
Two of them.
You are a picture, or the picture, I should say, of generosity. The picture
The pitcher
of generosity.
So if we're going to be in the game and talking about the things, Garion Thorne is of DK Live. And of course, Jake Ciely is from The Athletic. What's going on, my man?
What's going on? And actually, yes, for everybody that out there thinks that we hate each other, I'm having the Garion Thorne on the show next week.
We are.
Just because you have people you hate doesn't mean you can't have them on your show. I do it all the time.
It's more entertaining that way.
I have Garion on every week.
Hey!
Well, to be fair, Garion doesn't know this. He gets to be the first guest that follows up David Wright on the podcast. So it's kind of, yeah.
Can you ask David Wright a series of questions about how his career went down the tubes ever since Tim Andercuss got on his bandwagon?
Is that exactly what I should ask him to? Tell him who Tim Anderson is. Tell him the whole breakdown of Andercuss and how he does it to everybody. I'll do that. I'll do the entire podcast on that.
And make David Wright demand an apology from Tim.
Okay.
And then just send it over to me and I'll run it and troll Tim with it.
Is back on the Mets already for 2019, by the way.
Tim is? Oh, yeah, I saw it. They made a trade, so how could he not be on? They're way better than last year.
No,
They
they're not done yet.
I thought they had no money.
They don't. They still don't. This is no. This is them acting like this is Salfino broke it all down. It's the way that you can move money around, and they got money coming off insurance, and then because of the trade, some of it doesn't get it. They're still broke. They're just making it look like they're not broke.
I can't believe Salfino had time to take like 20 minutes out of his busy schedule of tweeting at Trump to actually do anything. Great use of your time right there.
That worked for like 1% of the people watching the show.
Anyone who follows Salfino, you always just see him tweeting at Trump. It's like, all right, man, we get it. Don't like Trump. It's time to move on. Let's get to the running back rankings right away because we got some hot topics. You got your regular guys, and then all these new guys that you can play in the fantasy playoffs. It's that time of year. Don't be a coward time of year. You got a hot take, you got a gut feeling, you go with it. So the guys that I have in the rankings, probably in, and of course, these will all change. You can find the rankings on dkplaybook.com, in the description of this video or podcast, or in the comment section, or on my Twitter. You can find them in a lot of places, and they will be updated all the way up until game time on Sunday. Garion, myself, and that aforementioned Tim Andercuss do a live show on Sunday, 10 a.m., which I wish you would all tune into. It's fantastic. We learned this week that Tim wants to take a swimming course with 80-year-olds called Gentle Aquafit.
I believe he said 65 to 80.
Oh, 65 to 80. This is coming from a 30-year-old man.
I think my theory on this is just that it's going to be a class full, because my mom takes a class with like essentially Gentle Aquafit. My mom is 65. She takes a class with 80-year-olds. And they're always buttering her up like, oh, you're in such good shape.
You're
Look
so
at you
young.
move around, youth. I think Tim just wants to hear what a special little boy he is. And just aren't you so attractive? And all that kind of stuff. Just really pump up the ego.
When you got like the Jack LaLanne guy of the group who's like 86 and just out working him, he's going to feel real bad about it.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Well, continue that conversation more on Wednesday's show when Tim is on with Feinberg. Because Feinberg has hot takes on Gentle Aquafit.
I can't imagine.
But the running back rankings, so probably in Chris Carson and Gus Edwards, probably out Melvin Gordon, Garion Johnson, and Malcolm Brown, who could be done for the year.
Yeah.
Meaning John Kelly I would assume, would become the handcuff you would want
Yep.
to Todd Gurley. Out already, James Conner and Matt Breida. That leads us into the rankings. I got C. McC, Christian McCaffrey coming in at number 1. Barkley at close 2. Elliott, Gurley, Kamara, Phillip Lindsay, Nick Chubb, Leonard Fournette, Aaron Jones, Tariq Cohen, and I guess we'll just stop at number 11 because these are PPR rankings. And I have put in Jalen Samuels at number 11. And I mean, if you play on Yahoo, you can just use him at tight end and you're fine. You can play whoever you want.
Yeah.
Which I have no problem with. That's the way that he was designated. Them's the breaks. Deal with it. Other than that, there's been talk that even from Mike Tomlin, your buddy Jake, Mike Tomlin, talking about, it's going to be a running back by committee. When has there ever been a running back by committee in Pittsburgh? Ever?
Never.
Actually, hold on. You can go back to the whole Fitzgerald Toussaint nonsense that we went through because it wasn't just Toussaint. It was Toussaint, and I forget it was actually who else? Oh, the big guy that was there at the time. There was one time. There has been one time, and that's why I actually give a little bit of credence to this. And you said my buddies, but when we were talking about Jalen Samuels, when I was talking to him about it, he said he was finding ways to he wanted to find ways to get him used this season. But at the same time, as we're seeing so far, the guy's never had more than 12 carries. He's somebody that wants to be used in different ways, but it's not like, hey, let's turn to him as our bell cow. I would have him ranked higher as you do, but not this high specifically.
I'm playing the game of don't be a coward in the fantasy playoffs. This is the guy that I want to start. I have Stephen Ridley ranked at number 51 because I can't envision a scenario unless they name him the starter where I'm playing Stephen Ridley.
Well, even if Ridley. Let's give him the best possible scenario where he has a majority of the first and second down work. I feel like we're looking at a worst case version of LeGarrette Blount, essentially. And look, for as good and as high scoring as the Steelers are, they don't actually have that many goal line carries this season. Like James Conner was getting a incredible share of those goal line carries, but we're talking about a team that's only been averaging 2.7 red zone possessions per game across the last 3 weeks, only 3 per game for the entire season because they score long touchdowns. It's kind of what they do. So I feel like we'd be talking about Ridley, even in that scenario, as someone outside the top 30, where Jalen Samuels, there's a reason he has that ridiculous positional designation on Yahoo. It's at NC State. He was utilized as a tight end, as a receiver, as a running back. He was great in college. He's a really good player. I'm kind of interested to see and happy to see him be utilized on an offense where he's going to be asked to do a lot of things. I would say it's like 70-30. I think that would be my guess.
And if it's 70-30, then that's exactly where I would have projected it out as, and that would leave him as number 11. Only in standard leagues, I would have him lower. But I do think that there is a pass-catching base that is in with Samuels here, Jake.
Yeah, there definitely is. I would just have him. Well, there's two things. First of all, we're talking about an offense that passes plenty already to begin with. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be Samuels. I mean, it could be, as we've seen, Vance McDonald or Juju Smith-Schuster. They start throwing Justin Hunter again. But it's not the 11 that's the problem. I just have like 2 or 3 guys I feel more comfortable right now starting in front of them because the only information we have this season to go off of is when they were just destroying the Panthers. And if you look at that game specifically, really got more carries and was better doing so. So again, it's a very small sample. It's only 1 game to go off of. It was a few weeks ago. It wasn't recent, as in Samuel's been starting to get more usage. But I'm just not confident it's 70-30 where I'll give you the 3. And I hate to say Mark Ingram, but Mark Ingram in this matchup, I would go in front of him. And David Johnson, I know last week with Chase Edmonds is infuriating. I would still use him in a PPR, Joe Mixon and Lamar Miller. So 4. Those are the 4 I would still use over him.
All right, so the guys that I have after Jalen Samuels in the rankings, Gus Bus comes in at number 12. I'd move him higher if he ever caught a pass, but he doesn't.
I was going to say, I'm not nearly as high on Gus Bus this week as you are.
I like Gus Bus. Gus Bus going to be. I think that the Ravens win this game, and that goes through Gus Bus. Just give him all the carries and just let him pile up yardage.
My worry would just be
too much use with Dixon in his first game back.
Yeah, I mean, Dixon's back, which is troubling. We've seen Ty Montgomery get double-digit touches the last 2 weeks, which again, this is a very run-heavy offense. And when they pass the ball, he's not throwing it deep. So that's something that could possibly continue. I think the breakdown last week was 50% of their throws went to. It was only 50% of their throws went to wide receivers. So they'll utilize the other elements of this offense, but we saw Lamar Jackson out-carry Gus 3-0 in the red zone last week, which really tracks across the last 3 games. Like, he has yet to see a carry inside the 5-yard line. So we're talking about someone who is never targeted, ever, is not seeing a majority of the goal line carries on his own team, Sure, he's going to get 20 carries, and this is also a great matchup. I think by adjusted line yards, Kansas City has the worst run defense in football.
So he has just over 300 yards in 3 games. So you can basically pencil in 200 yards. What if he breaks?
What's the difference between him and Josh Adams, really? Aside from matchup, what's really the difference between those two?
I mean, it's really the matchup. But
is that worth 18 spots in your rankings?
I do think so, yeah.
No,
I think that the yardage is definitely going to be there for Gus Edwards.
Well,
and you're banking
could
on touchdowns with Josh Adams in a bad
brushing past your hot take. That's why.
Why?
You said they're winning this game.
Yeah, I've been on that train for ages. They're the perfect style of team to beat Kansas City.
If you truly think that, I have no problem with this particular ranking.
Right.
If this ranking is under the precedent that they are winning this game, I am with you. I just don't think they're winning this game.
I think they will. What they did to the Saints earlier this year, they can do to Kansas City, unless they somehow turn back to Joe Flacco, because I don't think Lamar Jackson's going to get you to a Super Bowl, but he is the perfect style of player to win this game against Kansas City.
They're going to slow it down.
Run.
Let me ask you
Milk these drives, 7-minute drives, 8-minute drives. Hopefully your defense is good enough. You can make a stop or get a turnover somewhere, and then you can win this game like 24-20.
Wow, they're the Navy of professional football.
A little bit.
Interesting.
They're like the advanced version of those like Tebow Denver teams.
Yeah.
If we get a report to the Joe Flacco, that Joe Flacco is going to be splitting touches at quarterback, do you move Gus Edwards down?
Way down.
What a weird...
Probably 15, 20 spots.
What a weird thing to say. Splitting touches at quarterback.
I mean,
2018.
I think Harbaugh should be fired on the spot if he does it, but
yeah.
Hey,
I don't know. I think there's the group of running back that Jake was just talking about. We don't talk about Ingram, so we'll skip past that. Johnson, you look at the snaps he played in that game, it was still 84%.
Sure, I just don't like Edmonds like getting the ball close, like once they get inside the 20. Why is Edmonds on the field at all?
Johnson's biggest thing was that he came into last week leading the NFL in percentage of team touches inside the red zone that he took. And it was not even close. It was like 90%. So it is worrisome, but I think it was just one of the situations. The first one is probably the most damning, where he was just on the field with the ability to be pulled into the end zone. But the second time, it was just he happened to break off a run from the 50, and I think they wanted to reward him. So maybe because in a lost season, they want to see what they have with Edmonds. But I went expecting to see something like, oh, he played 40% of the snaps, or even 30% of the snaps in that game.
21%, I think.
Still 21%, which at least there was some crossover, which I think is something they should have been experimenting with a little bit earlier in the season. But I would have Johnson ahead of Edwards. I would have Mixon ahead of Edwards. I would have Dalvin Cook ahead of Edwards. I was very low on Cook last week, and I'll admit when I'm wrong. I saw everything I needed to see last week.
He looks
good, and they throw to him a ton. So maybe Gus Edwards finishes with twice the rushing attempts that Dalvin Cook does. But in still what I would call a pretty good matchup, Seattle actually has the worst yards per carry allowed to running back so far this season. I think Dalvin Cook's just going to probably catch 7 passes.
Okay, so I'll move Gus Edwards down. You two make a very compelling case. You said Lamar Miller, Jake. I have him at number 19 in this spot. There's only so much of a trust threshold I can go with Lamar Miller. Anything above
I'm with you.
Anything above 19 is like really pushing it for me.
I know, and I'm with you, but at this point, look, the fact is, it's not even a Deonta Foreman not coming back factor. It's at this point, what can you really? I'll give you a comparison. I didn't want to buy into Adam Humphries for the longest time until a couple of weeks ago. I finally picked him up in a bunch of leagues, and that's just telling to the entire population that he's still out there after multiple weeks of being productive in PPRs. There's some players where you just don't want to get involved with, and even if they're on your roster, it's like, I don't even want to start Lamar Miller. But at this point, with the way that they're using him, with the way the offense is working with Deshaun Watson, and Demaryius Thomas obviously isn't going to be a consistent factor. Maybe if QT comes back, it quells my excitement a little bit for Lamar Miller, but at the same time, I think we have to get in. Really, again, I'm putting him in front of guys like I would put him in front of Gus Edwards. I would put him in front of Jalen Samuels in this start that we don't know what's going on about. It's not much higher, but I think we have to believe.
I could see the argument though, and I know this is kind of generally how you rank, and it's really how you started the show. Like, maybe if I'm the 6th seed and I snuck into my fantasy playoffs and I'm playing like a really good team and I know I'm going to need 20 points from my running back, I'm probably going to go Samuels over Miller. There's a much higher ceiling. And I agree with everything Jake said. I mean, you look at the way that offense has been utilized the last couple weeks, they are dead set that Deshaun Watson is not going to drop back and throw more than 25 times per game because he might be decapitated if he does. So Lamar Miller gets 20 touches.
This should be a game where Indy should have put up points, though.
You would think
Forcing
so.
Watson to
And
pass.
it seems like when they want to throw the ball to running backs, which they don't do often, I think they actually have the lowest percentage of their passing volume go to the running back position. It's 13%.
A lot of that has to
But
do.
it's blue, too.
And some of it, too, is almost like the Lamar Jackson thing and even the Josh
Pass protect.
And no, even the Josh Allen thing when it comes to him not throwing to Shady is that in those situations where most normal quarterbacks would dump the ball off to the
takes
running
off
back,
running.
they just run.
That's true. It's true.
And that just limits the opportunity that these pass-catching running backs have of piling up the yardage. So I'm going to move Gus Edwards down because I think the point that really sold it for me is why would I have Josh Adams at 30 and have Gus Edwards at 12? That makes a lot of logical sense to me. I have overranked him. So I'll be willing to give you Lamar Miller on that one over Gus Edwards. Chris Carson, Mr. Broken Finger Chris Carson, or Gus Edwards.
I think Edwards. I'm fine
Edwards.
with that.
Spencer Ware?
Although I don't know. Rashad Penny could just start this week. Who even knows?
He had, 5 carries last week?
Yeah. But they made a whole big deal of making sure everyone knew he was going to get the ball more.
He got the ball after the game was out of hand.
I know.
It's Pete Carroll.
All right, so Spencer Ware or Gus Edwards?
Mm.
I think you just lean matchup in that one. Like, it's a tough matchup for Ware, although he's someone who could just have 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I would go with Gus most. Also because the Chiefs were so hell-bent on finding another piece, which I thought they were fine to begin with who they had with the 2 Williamses and Darrell Williams. That there are a lot of people that wanted, like this rookie dude, you don't know about him. Like everybody's super excited. He went barely get on the field. I don't even think, did he even get a touch in that game? So
No.
they wanted to add West. I think that's a telling sign that Spencer Ware is probably going to sit where he was last week, where it's like that 60, 65%, but that's about it.
And if you want to use the tie-breaking thing of it would seem like Spencer Ware would be a back more utilized in the passing game, but
We don't know.
they don't throw to running backs. Again, I mentioned Houston. The only team in the AFC that does it less often than Kansas City is Houston. They're at 15%, and it was only 8% this week.
And I would think that, did they end up signing West officially, or did they just bring him in?
Yeah. No, they signed him.
They signed him. So I would think that if they're in a situation where they do have to pass, you're looking at the Candyman, Charkandrick, or Damian Williams.
Yeah, Damian Williams. I like Damian Williams.
Well, it's all right. He'll suffer a concussion after 3 touches like he does at this point every year.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, you have a lot of
fair.
Damian Williams experience.
I
Gary.
do have a lot of Damian Williams experience. But still 70% of the snaps. I just think that Gus is a guaranteed 20 touches.
I think that he's 20 carries, close to 100 yards, lock it in.
Yeah.
And if he breaks one, then now you're looking at
Yeah.
a pretty sizable day.
I can't say the same about Spencer.
So I'll move him in between Lamar Miller and Chris Carson, Gus Edwards. That will make him number 19 in the rankings. Gus Bus. Beep, beep. He's dealing with that ankle injury, too.
Yeah.
So that could be of a concern. I'll monitor that as the week goes along. So I guess I should list off the entire 11 to 20 range for those listening at home. Samuels, now that awful Mark Ingram. Stupid fantasy pros has put him now at number 12. David Johnson, Mixon, Jeff Wilson Jr., James White, Dalvin Cook, Lamar Miller, Gus Bus, Chris Carson. That goes into Spencer Ware, AP, Sony Michel, Marlon Mack, LeGarrette Blunt, because this assumes that there is no Kerryon Johnson, Deion Lewis, Austin Eckler, Kenyon Drake, Rocket Richard, and Josh Adams. Let's talk about Jeff Wilson for a minute.
Probably should.
Should we?
Seemed interesting. We talked about everyone else in that tier and just
Right.
sort of, oh yeah, Jeff Wilson 16. That's a normal thing that happens.
Lock of the week,
Yeah,
Jeff
sure.
Wilson, right? If you didn't get Samuels and play him at tight end on Yahoo, you just pick up Jeff Wilson. You're good to go.
Yeah.
I don't, are they going to activate Alf?
Yeah.
And he'll...
Oh, yeah.
He'll definitely be active. He's been active 2 games.
Over under 50% of the snaps for Jeff Wilson. Because if it's over, this rankings works.
I'm going to say over, but I really do want to stress, I don't think it's going to be crazy. Like, I don't think all of a sudden Jeff Wilson is going to see some share of the offense that Matt Breida wasn't seeing.
Okay,
Breida was generally around like 60 to 65%, which is still great. Like, I think Wilson's locked in as an RB2 this week, especially considering Nick Mullins seems like he can only pass to him and Kittle
And Dante Pettis.
and Pettis 70 yards down the field.
Right.
That's his 3 reads. So
My concern with Jeff Wilson is who he is as a player. I mean, we're talking about kind of another Gus Edwards and the fact the skill set of what you're asking him to do. He's a guy who runs and finds the lanes that are there. If the lanes aren't there, he can sometimes find some, but you got a lot of issues with him. He's not great in space. He fumbles a hell of a lot. To your point, as I don't think we get past 60%. Maybe we can get 55, 60% of the touches, but I think we'll see Juszczyk used in the passing game. I think Alfred Morris will get a few touches to not give it all to Wilson. And let's talk about Wilson as a talent and realize what he is. There's a reason he was where he was and just an undrafted free agent. There wasn't a lot of excitement because he's just kind of an okay guy. So 1 week, we've seen other running backs do 1 week before and never see anything from them again in the NFL.
I do think, though, this speaks, and fantasy often does.
Over under 14.5 touches. I'll take the over.
I would say over. And I think that I'm in no way disagreeing with what Jake said. I think it's very clear what most NFL evaluators think about his talent with where he was just 3 weeks ago. But I would say Jake agrees with this because I always forget which side of the Saquon Barkley discussion you're on. But I think this goes part and parcel with just devaluing running backs and justifiably devaluing running backs. I think if you just stick someone who's played running back their whole life, is athletic, and is not injured in a backfield, and just give him
the Shanahan
15,
offense.
17 touches. Yeah. I would say that he could average 2.5 yards per carry in this game, and I still think he could break 15 PPR fantasy points. Because if there's a team that's just going to be throwing to their running back the entire second half, it's probably San Francisco.
So a lot of this has to do with the spreads too of these games.
Yeah,
that they're underdogs against Denver this week, even at home. I like to see him in an underdog spot. When we get to Andrew Luck, I like Andrew Luck as an underdog in any game.
Sure,
that just means he's going to throw more, and it's almost like I have LeGarrette Blount at 25 because they're favorites in this game. It's projected to be a close game against a bad run defense. That means they're going to pound him. Each and any chance they get to give LeGarrette Blount the ball, they're going to do it because they're favorites in this game, which means that if it's within 3 points or they're only down by 7 or fewer, then it's a LeGarrette Blount game for the Lions.
Yeah,
that's fair. But again, to go back to a couple guys behind them, and we are talking PPR, I know that, but with Garion, I'm starting Dalvin Cook at this point over Wilson. I'm not doing that in my first week
I
of
agree.
playoffs.
Like you know what? I can buy that too. I can put Dalvin Cook.
Like that was, I guess I kind of.
Carson one, I don't mind the Carson going against Minnesota with the finger issue. The one I will say though that I think is too low, even in PPR, and I know he did nothing after the run, but that was the Eagles. Yes, that was the Eagles defense. And I'm going, but how many times I've said it every single week since they traded Damon Harrison. The Giants run defense is the worst thing in the NFL right now, run defense wise. Every single running back that's faced them has hit like 15 plus points, 100 yards, a touchdown. Adrian Peterson didn't touch the ball that much because after that run, they were just getting pounded. So I know it's Mark Sanchez at quarterback, but Adrian Peterson over trusting Jeff Wilson. I'm going to start Adrian Peterson.
No, Jeff Wilson's the man in that spot.
I just worry.
Jeff Wilson's who you want.
In the same way that we rightfully and justifiably downgrade the Giants defense versus, their entire season stats, that Washington offensive line, like between them and Arizona, they're really just breaking out.
That's
for
fair.
Most injured offensive line in football. I honestly don't know who wins in a battle of the worst defensive line in football and the worst offensive line in football.
What's the opposite of the unmovable object and the unstoppable force?
If Peterson would be involved in the passing game, I can see the case for it. And the upside is there against this defense. He can break a big one just like he did. And if they do get into the red zone, they will just turn around and hand the ball off to Adrian Peterson.
If we could know that they win the coin toss and if we could know the Giants win the coin toss and defer, I would be much more into Peterson.
I just think that there's no floor with Peterson. I mean, I have him ranked at 22 because there's upside to be had. But in your playoff matchups, like if you told me that one of these guys scored 3 points, the answer is Adrian Peterson, not Jeff Wilson.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going with.
I will say, I kind of buried it, and Jake brought it up. When I was saying I would have Dalvin Cook ahead of Gus Edwards, I was also saying I would have Dalvin Cook much higher. I just think...
I'll put him between Mixon and Jeff Wilson.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. I think I would have him ahead of Mixon, but that's... Yeah.
I like it.
I can see it. I still like Mixon better.
Sure.
I like Mixon. Not necessarily.
Don't forget Scrambling Driscoll open up lanes.
Scrambling Driscoll, man. That guy's something to watch.
I think you were the only person in the bar watching that game.
I was,
and
it was fun. I rolled out 100% Denver D.
There was a point when I think it was around like 3:00 when I realized that 2 games weren't on in the bar, and I asked you what the score of both those games were, and I believe both were still 0-0.
Yes. Those were the 2 games I had on my laptop in front of me.
We made the good call in terms of the television at the bar.
We should bring back the watchability index.
Yeah.
That was always fun because we can just bring that to the bar and be like, put on these games.
Exactly.
Ranked 1 to 9. Here we go. Just start at 1 and move on down the list. Anyone in the 20s you want to talk about? I kind of made my case for LeGarrette Blount. I actually like him a lot this week. Maybe the Chargers. Guys, I have Eckler at 27. I have Justin Jackson at 34. I don't think just because Justin Jackson looked really good in the fourth quarter that earned him more touches, I think, this week. But if he gets more than 50% of the snaps, I'm going to be stunned.
I disagree.
Yeah.
I think I don't not the 50% part. I think that he's deserved more touches, and it's going to be more like a 50-50. I think they saw what happened, and Eckler needs to stay what Eckler's been the entire year. And I don't know if you saw it, but earlier today, they even came out and said that he's starting to wear down because he's also, that being Eckler, is being used on special teams, and he's getting too much work at this point of the season, which makes me to believe, and again, coaches lie all the time, but I think the truth is here that Eckler just needs to stay what Eckler is. He can't be the lead. And I don't think that Justin Jackson necessarily can be, because when I wrote him up as a draft profile, I said he's a great compliment and a very good pass catcher, very similar to Eckler, which didn't make a lot of sense for me why they drafted him. But if Gordon is out, I'd rather start. I'd actually just flip those two. I'd rather start Jackson at this point.
I don't know. I think you're right. I think everything you said is accurate, and I agree with you. I could
What
see.
if they? Here's the question with Justin Jackson. What if they don't? What if they don't go to him?
And that's the thing. I would say that I definitely know Eckler is going to see 50% of the snaps in this game. I definitely know that even if his role is decreased, he's still going to be involved in the passing game. And that even if Jackson does get, I would say I could see him getting 13 to 16 carries this week.
Well, if that's the case against Cincinnati, that might be enough.
But I think that Eckler is still going to be involved in the rushing game. And again, I know he's going to be involved in the passing game. I would say in a standard, I'm starting Jackson over Eckler 100 times out of 100. In a PPR, I'd still start Eckler.
That's still Jackson's just as good as Eckler is in the passing game. Whether or not they use him that
that's
way.
the thing. I think you're right, but I still think they just use Eckler the way they know he can be used.
But that's the good thing is I think to the point is that's the matchup is the Bengals. The Bengals are the worst defense in the NFL. So even if it's a 50-50 and one's going one way, I think both of them are fine options as flex this week. I wouldn't want to start either one as my RB2 because of the risk we're talking about.
Yeah.
Still Lewis over Henry? Bad matchup? I'd take the pass catcher if I had to.
Yeah.
I'd rather start both Chargers over those guys at this point.
I was going to say.
Really?
I've
over Deion Lewis? Deion Lewis can just have a 9-catch game out of nowhere. He had, 7 2 weeks ago? Against a good pass
rush.
rush?
Also have nothing, and Derrick Henry gets a touchdown. I mean, who cares?
He has kind of, if you go through his stats, he's averaging about 5 catches or 5 targets per game, but a lot of that is top heavy. It's a lot of like one game where he had 9 catches and one game where he had 7 catches. There's a lot of just 2 catches, 3 catches.
Even in the game last week, he still, I think he played 67% of the snaps.
Yeah, he's on the field.
Just give me the guy who's going to be on the field.
Yeah.
I'll go down with that ship.
I think, like Jake said, though, I'd rather play the 2 running backs in a better offense, in a better matchup this week.
Rather play both of them over Deion Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll move down Deion Lewis. Lewis or Drake? This is a good Drake spot, I feel.
Don't make me say Drake. I don't want to.
It is a good, it's Drake.
Lewis
Yeah.
or Richard?
Lewis. I can't believe I'm saying this. I talked about it in my waiver column. Doug Martin has been sneaky good.
If you start Doug Martin in your fantasy playoffs, you are going to lose. How about that? If you start him in your fantasy lineup in the fantasy playoffs, not only will you lose, you deserve to lose. That is how it works.
I'm not
when
saying,
you start putting in Doug the Pug Martin
I'm not saying you're
in
wrong.
your lineup.
I'm not saying you're
have
wrong,
fun with
I
that.
have to do it
Have
because my
fun
lineup
with
sucks.
That. Yeah, you're going to lose.
I know
You're
that.
starting Doug Martin.
I'm saying the two are correlated, but sometimes for different reasons.
Points in double-digit points in every single game since Lynch went down.
You enjoy having Doug Martin in there and watching him like
And
fumble the ball. He's gonna get 4 carries from the inch-yard line, not get in.
He scored last week.
He did score last week, and he's tempting you into starting him in the fantasy playoffs.
I have to.
Don't
It's not.
do it.
It's not.
Don't do it.
It's not a matter of
Don't
that.
do
It's a
it.
matter of having to start him because I'm a James Conner, Matt Breida owner. So these are things that present themselves.
Is that my league?
No, it's Chris Mooney's league.
Ah.
I lost James Conner in like all the flex leagues. I'm done.
And League of Leagues were kind of hurting. Having Fournette come back this week is kind of nice.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
That helps. So yeah, Doug Martin. Fantasy Pros ranked him at 36. I would never play Doug Martin. Good God. Sounds like a travesty.
I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah, you pick up Chase Edmonds and play him.
No.
Better. Pick up TJ Yeldon, play him. Pick up Mike
No,
Boone,
Fournette back.
play him. Mike Boone. Get some
on the
Wayne
Vikings?
Gallman.
Listen, you can pick up Mike Boone, and then you can drink some boons, and you'll have the best Sunday of your life, Gary.
Is Mike Boone on the Vikings?
Yes.
Okay.
He's
at
like
least I knew that.
he's their H-back.
He's not Ham.
He is not CJ Ham. That's true.
Ham through why am I forgetting his name? Red Zone guy, Scott Hansen. Threw Scott Hansen for a real loop
Oh, really?
on Sunday. Could not figure out who Ham was.
Oh, man, you got to know about Ham.
That's what I'm saying.
Ham was all the rage when Dalvin Cook first went down. We weren't sure if Latavius was good. Now, Ham is playing some snaps. Let's get some Ham in you. Probably don't want to do that.
No.
Over Doug Martin, though. That would be the move.
Okay.
That way, at least you don't guarantee you lose going into the week just by having Doug Martin on your
Right.
roster.
What if you start Mark Ingram and Doug Martin?
Ooh.
Well, I mean, you're clearly not in
Did
the
the
playoffs.
two cancel each other out?
No, it just makes it doubly as worse. You might score.
It's okay.
You might score negative points.
Just wanted to
in your
clarify for the
lineups.
people.
Okay.
Black hole opens up and just sucks your computer in.
Basically,
You're
yeah.
not allowed to play
I
fantasy
mean, I wouldn't
football
even just say.
anymore.
I wouldn't even say just your computer. You might just get sucked into that vortex. We'll never see you again, unless you get sent directly to hell. Then that's where they'll be with you and your awful fantasy lineup for the week.
I want to find somebody tweet us if you have Doug Martin, Mark Ingram, and Jared Cook in your lineup this week.
I don't know. If anyone watches this show, I feel like they
Oh,
don't.
you really underestimate the amount of people who make their lineups based on the opposite of what I say.
That's-
So they could have that team.
Mina might actually have. that.
Mina had that team, and what happened to him? He made the fantasy finals, and who did he lose to? By triple the points? Me.
That's true.
Blew him out of the water because he was playing Jared Cook, Mark Ingram, and Lamar Miller against me. Poor guy.
Yeah.
Never saw it coming, but I saw it coming because look who he was starting.
Yeah.
Anyone from 30 and up you want to talk about? Like LaShawn McCoy. He's playing the Jets. That's good. Josh Allen, a quarterback. That's bad.
I mean, he's gonna get 15 touches. That's end of my argument about positive things.
Yeah,
I can say
that's
about
pretty
LaShawn
much the
McCoy.
end of the argument. You know what? To go back to the Redskins game, if you're that worried about the offensive line and you want to kind of pivot off of it,
Yeah, Thompson.
Oh, he did not look great. I mean, just Sanchez is so much worse than Colt McCoy.
Yeah,
it's mind-boggling.
It's crazy.
oh, but they're signing Josh Johnson
Are
from
they-
the AAF.
Are they actually signing him? Because I'd rather play him than Sanchez.
No, they're trying to, but they have to work out the details with what is it, the AAFL or whatever that league. They have to work because he was drafted in that, so they have to work out the details to sign him.
I feel like Josh Johnson, whoever Logan Thomas's agent was, who told Logan Thomas, "Hey, just go be a tight end and make NFL rosters for the next 6 years," that guy should have been representing Josh Johnson. 'Cause
Yes.
he could probably just do the same thing. I assume they're the same person sometimes.
The one
I assume like every quarterback from Virginia Tech should just do that, just move
Yeah.
to tight end.
The one you could move up, I think, instead of Chris Thompson, I think that Hines could have some value here if the Texans start scoring.
Sure.
And anytime, I mean, having Marlon Mack back is like, it's not a great matchup for Marlon Mack because it's so hard to run on Houston that Hines could really have a game here. But it's so untrustworthy, you can't
Yeah.
really go with it.
Yeah. And again,
But if you had to, like, let's say, if you had to play Doug Martin and Naheem Hines was available, you could play him instead.
I could do that.
You could.
Or Judge Ito.
No.
Don't think so.
He's the
Ito
judge.
Smith has been awful.
He's Judge Ito, though. Would you,
Yeah,
ra-
he's
would
been
you rather start
miserable.
Judge Ito or Doug the Pug, Garion? Judge
Wait,
Ito.
actually Doug the Pug? Because
Yeah, if it was actually Doug the Pug, you'd be fine.
100. Because you know what? You know what Instagrams are the best? Instagrams from the Ed Zone. He'd be so cute too.
He would. He always goes to he's a big Titans fan. He lives in Nashville.
Oh, okay.
He's always at them Titans games, meeting all the players, licking the ball, struggling to breathe. Everything that Doug the Pug does.
Classic Doug.
Wide receivers. I have Kiki. I have Stefan Diggs, and we'll eventually put Marquise Goodwin back because when I initially done these, it looked like he wasn't going to play. Now it does look like he is going to play. AJ Green and
Is he?
Christian.
He's back with the team.
He's more
So
likely to play than
you would
not
assume.
this week.
Yeah.
At least.
Okay.
So guys that I have out, Sammy Watkins, Pierre Garçon, Deshaun Jackson, Chad Williams, Cole Beasley, and Trey Quinn, AJ Green, and Christian Kirk. Done for the season. Michael Thomas comes in at number 1 in the rankings. Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, Thielen, Julio, OBJ, Antonio Brown, Tyreek Hill, Juju into T.Y. Hilton, Robert Woods, Brendan Cooks, Amari Cooper, Mike Evans, Manny Sanders, the Colonel, Larry Fitzgerald, Stefan Diggs, and the 2 Patriots, Julian Edelman and Josh Gordon. Anyone inside that top 20 who shouldn't be there? I wanted to rank Larry Fitz higher. I think he has a big week.
I have Larry Fitz higher. I have him as the sleeper because we're now in the playoffs. So hopefully you're not digging that deep. But a lot of people are not happy with him. So I'm with you. I like that he's at least inside your top 20.
It's strange that people aren't happy.
He's
with
not
him,
getting
considering
slayed this week.
He's been so much better the last 4 weeks than he was the entirety of the season. It's odd, but yeah.
When Rosen has to make a throw, that's who he's the only person he throws to.
And there's no one left on that team.
Yeah, Chad Williams almost played last week, so he could be back.
Sure.
If not, you're dealing with that guy we had to look up.
Oh, yeah.
16, who's like kind of jacked, but real little. Kind of looks like a fire hydrant.
Yeah.
Weird
Sheffield.
name. That's the problem.
Sheffield.
Gary Sheffield, exactly.
I should know this. Anyway. And the thing, too, is...
JJ Nelson's still there.
JJ Nelson's still there. But also, even when you look at just Ricky Seals-Jones, and not that this was a guy who was taking
I'm
away...
so sick of that guy.
I am too.
Me too.
And I loved him
But
this
so are
year.
the Cardinals. And that's the thing that helps Larry Fitzgerald. We've now gotten to a point where the last 3 weeks, this might be because they hate Ricky Seals-Jones. This might also be because they realize they cannot block and need Jermaine Gresham to actually help keep Josh Rosen alive. But it's been Gresham playing 70% of the snaps and Ricky Seals-Jones playing 30. So it's Larry Fitz and no one else.
It's Trent Sherfield, by the way.
Trent Sherfield. Right.
Larry Fitz is like 4,900 on DraftKings, I think.
Seems good.
It's not bad, right?
Seems not bad.
Not bad. And it's hard to run on the Lions now.
Staying away
Which
from
is
Slay
crazy
in the
because
slot.
you know who's the same price?
Who?
Adam Humphries.
Oh, Hump Daddy?
It's a Sophie's choice right there.
Well, if Deshaun Jackson sits again, I would once again rather play Chris Godwin than Adam Humphries.
Yes,
I agree.
Yes, that's the big one. But the biggest thing with Humphries is if Deshaun Jackson's out there, Humphries' numbers without OJ Howard have been terrific.
So
they've been great anyway.
DJ Moore at number 21, Chris Godwin at 22, Adam Humphries at number 23. That assumes Deshaun Jackson doesn't play. He could play. If he does, check the updated rankings. I will switch it up. Tower Boyd, Cortland Sutton, Jarvis Landry, Tyler Lockett, Allen Robinson, Kenny Golladay, and just the Pitts matchup, and Dante Pettis. But that was assuming that Marquise Goodwin wasn't going to play. So what do we do with Goodwin? What do we do with Dante Pettis? Chris Harris, dead.
I would, at this point, just say you don't play either. I think
I would put them both down in the low 30s.
Like with your, also just in the context of your own rankings, you have Jeff Wilson at 16, which, as we've gone over, the script would essentially be he needs to see at least 7 targets in this game. Hopefully more, but probably at least 7.
Mm-hmm.
You've got George Kittle, who's seen 32 targets the past 3 weeks.
He doesn't catch any of them anymore.
Well,
because all the other teams do is just like, we only need to stop one guy.
Team
we
George
just need
Kittle,
to stop one guy. And that's it.
I think they deserve to be in the conversation with Traquan.
So they're basically Traquan.
I have Traquan at 40. The one,
which is a great matchup for him this week.
And to lean with Traquan, like if both of them are back, I'd probably still rather play Traquan. I have Josh Reynolds after that. I'd probably still want to play Josh Reynolds. Like, and then you're deciding with the offenses. If you start adding guys to this 49ers mix. So you have to move Pettis down below Reynolds. Gabriel is in a pretty good spot against the Rams, I think. All the Bears receivers are in good spots against the Rams, unless like Talib.
They got Talib back. It's a downgrade now.
I would think that would hurt Allen Robinson more than anything, but it's hard to say.
Well, Miller too.
Well, it can only hurt one of them, really.
No, both of them. Because you still have Marcus Peters.
Who sucks? Marcus Peters sucks!
But he's been playing a little bit better of late, and the Talib return has helped him. But I put it this way, is the Taylor Gabriel is actually where I would just put both 49ers receivers right there after Josh Reynolds.
I would play Pettis over Goodwin, though, at this point.
I would. I agree with you.
Even in the games where Pettis wasn't playing a majority of the snaps, Mullins and Goodwin just didn't have any connection. He was mostly leaning on Pierre Garçon, which is ridiculous.
I assume he doesn't play either. I guess he could potentially play.
I just don't see what they gain from having Pierre Garçon suit up in this game.
The problem is, as it seemed from the first time around, we tried to really assess the situation when Goodwin and Garçon were both missing, that it was Bourne who kind of stepped into the Garçon role. Then all of a sudden, Pettis just became like the focal point as soon as Goodwin was gone. If Goodwin is back, is that a backseat for Pettis? Or has
Possibly.
he done enough to be like, yeah, you're the guy?
I just think that at this point for San Francisco, this is a second round pick. This was the justification I gave 2 weeks ago for liking him. I just figured they'd have to give him some run.
Didn't realize you got super sneaky and played him in our DraftKings contest.
Yeah.
You had him and Kelsey. I thought I was going to win. I was like, oh God, Garion is these idiots?
Yeah.
This isn't good. You won by like 50 points.
Again, there's been very little gain to me having to write San Francisco 49ers updates for the DK Live app every week of not only the regular season, but the preseason. But I did know who Dante Pettis was, and I liked him.
So we'll go with Pettis over Goodwin. Where would Goodwin go in? Was he like Demaryius Thomas or Goodwin?
I would probably have, I'd rather play Funchess, but at that point, I think Sanu is a good kind of breaking point for Goodwin, where best case Sanu probably going to get you like 4 catches.
Screw that. I'd rather play Zay Jones.
That's fair. Who's being targeted aside from Zay Jones?
Rather play 8-man. Touchdown making 8-man.
They dropped Kelvin Benjamin.
Yeah, and Andre Holmes. They've got
So I should remember Robert Foster?
But look,
Probably.
what's really the difference between Foster and Goodwin at this point? There's not a whole lot.
I trust the guy throwing Robert Foster the ball more.
I probably do too.
That's exactly. I was going to go back to this whole conversation about the receivers and say we're still trusting Nick Mullins against the Broncos. I mean, the fact is like Nick Mullins, okay, look, yeah, a good game last week. Let's talk about what happened 2 weeks ago. It's still Nick Mullins.
All right, without Cole Beasley, I mean, who do you trust more, Mullins or Driscoll? Driscoll only throws to CJ Uzma, and it's never complete.
I know the point a little bit.
He gets like 3 of them. That's the good part about it. You get like 3. You get 25%, 12 targets. Hey, you got 3 completions.
So I'll put in Goodwin in between Gallup and John Ross.
Sure.
Number 55, and I'll move the Pettis file down to number 42 between Gabriel and Antonio Callaway.
Speaking of the same game, I think I know we're excited for the talent, but we talk about the quarterback. I think you got Cortland Sutton too high.
Nah, he's fine.
He's done nothing until last week.
And he did something last week. Let's ride that momentum, Jake. Let's carry that
Case
through to the
Keenum.
fantasy playoffs.
Go ahead.
He's on the case. What more could you want from him?
A better quarterback.
Results.
No. He gets results, Dave. He's
And
on the
if
case.
You want to talk about bounce back game? I'm all over Emmanuel Sanders this week.
Manny Sanders? Yeah, I like Manny Sanders. I have him at 16.
Yeah. I would have Golden Tate higher.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a 1 week thing. I just don't know.
But even if it's
Bad matchup too.
yes, but I think we're still talking about someone who's just seen at least 8 targets in 3 consecutive games. His snap count's not where it was with the Lions, but it's still up around 75%. I don't know,
No.
if we're just the only reason to ever think about playing Bruce Ellington is volume.
It's also,
But we've also presented the narrative that they're favored in this game and they might just run it down.
it's true, but I also severely downgraded Kenny Galladay because I feel like there's no way he doesn't end up on Patrick Peterson. So they have to throw it somewhere. And It's going to be to Theo Riddick, and if Blunt's in the game, it means it's going to Bruce Ellington.
Okay.
Bruce Ellington's purely PPR too. That's the thing.
Absolutely agree. Like he would be probably
Bruce
like,
like 30 something yards.
I just
each
feel like they're very similar players. And if
Who?
I'm Tate and Ellington in terms of what their archetype in fantasy football is, and I'd much rather play Tate than Ellington.
not about that. I'd rather play Ellington.
Okay.
Give me the Duke of Ellington, Golden Tate. He might have to go into he might have to go into worse place.
Really?
He might.
Oh, you loved Golden Tate.
I do
so
love Golden
much.
Tate, but what happened with Golden Tate?
Although
No one played him in the Monday Nighter, did they? Golden Tate goes off.
It's true.
Now everyone wants to play him this week because he had a good game. Watch him do nothing.
I will say, I think part of the reason, or part of the only reason you liked Golden Tate was you just hated Jarvis Landry so much, and it was easy to say, Golden Tate's so much better. And it just became like, Pat loves Golden Tate.
I actually, back when I used to write and could read and could write,
Right.
Instead of just having to dictate things into my phone and see what it spits out, wrote up Golden Tate as being better than Des Bryant in that draft class. Guess it was wrong.
Yeah.
Although
From a
Tate's-
longevity
Tate's
perspective.
still playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I get for investing in some Notre
I was
Dame
pulling this up
scrub.
while we were talking about it. Golden Tate, 30% of his targets in the slot last week, 74% snaps in the slot, and that is it's a bad matchup still, but that's the best matchup against the Cowboys is in the slot. So if he stays there again this week,
What happens when they run out the
one.
Vanilla Thunder connection of Van Der Esch and Sean Lee? What's going to happen then?
I thought it was Van Der Esch.
Oh, was it Van Der Esch?
Maybe.
No, I know, but like, yeah.
Devontae Parker over Kenny Stills?
No,
Who cares?
I'll play Devontae Parker.
You don't need to play.
I'll play
You
Stills.
could play Devontae Parker.
Look.
Stills returns punts now, I found out.
Yeah, because he's not touching the ball anywhere else. Yeah, I would play Parker over Stills, but again, you don't need to play
Really?
any of them. I think it's all just gonna be 4 targets
I'm
here,
just gonna
5 targets
and
there.
I'm just gonna chase the snap count with that. And to your point, though, what we've been saying for the entire year is I just want nothing to do with the
yeah,
Dolphins.
you just don't have to in a week where every team is playing.
Crowder's back.
He is.
Back
He is.
again.
Oh man, McCoy was just peppering Doxson early in that game.
Oh yeah,
It was going to
That's-
script. It was so nice.
so
I-
infuriating.
I did up these rankings before, like I did the Monday night before Colt McCoy got hurt, and I think I originally had Dawson at like 27 or
Yeah.
something. I was like,
I
oh,
had him at
he-
25.
He's gonna
Yeah.
eat, and then all of a sudden, nope, that's not gonna happen anymore. Maybe Sanchez will come out and be excellent this week. It'd be a very Giants thing to have happen. They look frisky all of a sudden. People are sort of on their bandwagon. They're now like 4-point favorites in Washington. Sanchez comes and blows them out.
Here's my only concern about that is we're watching the Giants and they've been making other trades and cutting people that were like, wow, you still owe this guy $20 million. To the point, the secondary's been playing better of late. So the Jamison Crowder, the slot used to be exploit that against the Giants, but this team, for some reason, a bunch of no-name dudes in the secondary, along with Jenkins and Collins, have been playing pretty well. So I don't know that Mark Sanchez, whatever. I don't think I would trust Crowder.
Collins isn't going to play this week though, right?
I don't think he's that bad.
He's out.
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah, he's out.
He's
Okay,
already?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he sucks in coverage anyway.
Gets turnovers though,
Turnovers?
and gets pick sixes.
But that's what you need him for.
There
Great
you go.
That might
ID,
help a little bit, but then you're talking about over the top anyway. You're not
Yeah.
talking about Crowder.
great IDP player. Constantly
Collins?
getting
It's true.
pick sixes. Any of the other like Kirkwoods and Tommy Lee Lewises, like, can you imagine ever playing one of those guys in your lineup?
No,
No, I talked about Kirkwood and Traquan Smith in the waivers. They're going to be going forward. Just try to attack the matchups. If there's a good slot matchup, then you want Kirkwood. If there's a good outside matchup, you want Smith. This week, it's the outside matchup you want Smith.
isn't Kirkwood still splitting snaps in the slot with Austin Carr?
He is, but that's where he's spending the majority of his time.
Okay. It's tough.
Ryan Switzer in a revenge game?
Is he going to play definitely? Because he was in the
I
concussion
think he's
protocol
out.
last night.
No. His dad took a real close-up picture of him. He's fine. He just made sure to turn off the flash.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Didn't realize his dad was a photojournalist.
I will say though, not that it's probably
Did
I
they
didn't
need
either.
to? Did they need to cut
Cuts-
to him?
right, I know. That seemed
And he was like-
weird. Just again, small things building up to kind of help Jalen Samuels. If Switzer's not playing, that's 2 to 3 targets per game that would realistically go back to Samuels. Because that was kind of when the 1-2 week stretch when we were all like, oh, maybe James Conner's not actually that good, and maybe Ryan Switzer's going to steal some of this role. It didn't really happen. But Switzer still, the underneath stuff is kind of his thing.
Switzer.
You got the Williamses backwards.
I have Terrell above Mike by a little bit, don't I?
Yeah, by a decent. You got that backwards. Tyrell's like banged up as banged up can be, and Mike Williams is getting those red zone looks again.
Neither of them are. I mean, if one of them hits, it's. I know Mike Williams.
It's been Mike.
It hasn't really been Mike. It was Mike once, and then for the previous
Twice.
4 games before it, twice. But when did he hit again?
It was with like the 2 of the last 3 games, wasn't it? He's been scoring touchdowns.
I thought he had the 2 touchdowns. He didn't do anything other than that outside of that one game.
Nah, I thought he had like, what is it, like 50 or 60 yards? It's just, it's more so the fact that Tyrell Williams is just, yeah, he's got 50 yards outside of the, so he's got 50, the 2 touchdowns, and 50 again. That's not amazing, but I'm definitely starting him 10 times out of 10 over banged up Tyrell Williams.
If we can get like even Thursday, Friday practice out of Tyrell Williams this week, I'll take the guy who could potentially get 160 yards.
Realistically,
That's fair.
though,
That's fair. I just don't know that I don't think he's 100% at this point of the
with
season.
so many running backs available in the waiver wire this week,
Probably don't need
I
to-
don't think there's a scenario where you're playing any of these guys.
All right, that's probably fair. Robert Foster. Josh Allen,
We
Robert
killed
Foster.
the Josh Allen thing. I'm very proud of us for that.
I won a lot of bucks on DK last week,
Yeah.
mainly because of Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't stack him with Zay Jones. I stacked him with Robert Foster.
Did you really?
I
That'll
did.
happen.
I played so much Josh Allen just because I got so pissed off. Everyone was playing Lamar Jackson. I'm like, I'll take a better Lamar Jackson and play Josh Allen.
That's racist.
It's not racist. He's just
You're
better.
saying he's a better version because
I'm
he's
saying
a white
he's a
quarterback?
better fantasy player than Lamar Jackson is. You know why? Because he can throw the ball. Not well, but he can throw it like 90
And
yards.
he can't get hurt unless he tries to jump over like 2 guys.
That's not even how he hurt himself. He hurt himself throwing. Never throw.
That's true. He's built like a tank.
Yeah, he's a huge guy. Quarterbacks. Let's get to that Josh Allen sweepstakes. Probably in Mitch Trubisky. Sanchez will join Sanchez this week in the rankings because Sanchez is he's allowed out of his safe space. He's not afraid of defensive lines anymore. So the Jets are going to try to roll him back out ever so slightly against the mighty Bills, who are
Seems
going
like
to
a
kill
mistake.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, of all the games to roll him back out, this is probably not the best one with that Bills pass rush. Joe Flacco, I have is out. Obviously, Colt McCoy finished. The Flacco thing could change, like Jake had mentioned, if they do split QB snaps. If they're going to do split QB snaps, just play Lamar Jackson and Robert Griffin at the same time. Now you're dealing with, like, hilariousness. Play Wishbone with two of those guys. Number 1, Mahomes. I don't care if it's against Baltimore. There's no way you're not. There's no scenario I can envision where you have Patrick Mahomes that you're not playing.
Pat, 3 tweets already today. Should I bench Patrick
Wow.
Mahomes for my playoffs?
You would answer yes.
What? Yeah, if someone asked me that,
someone
I
had
would
the
tell them yes.
audacity to ask-
I would
ask
actually,
that
I would
question.
actually tell them to drop Patrick Mahomes. If you don't listen, if you don't want to, if you are thinking about Patrick Mahomes, that's not to say that he's going to win you a fantasy championship or be a lock to be great this week. But he's the reason you're there.
Yeah.
He's been the best quarterback in fantasy by I think now 45 points. And he
I'll
may
check
have
for you.
not reached his ceiling yet. And Baltimore can be had. Let's be real here. I think that
so
they
Pat,
go
to
ahead.
your point, you know how many games he has with fewer than 20 points? One, and it was still 15.8
against Jacksonville.
Yep. So he's got second place is Drew Brees, who is almost 70 points behind him.
And
Wow.
Cam Newton's third, right?
Cam Newton, yes, is third. Actually, 0.1 behind Drew Brees.
And I think it's
Luck
Luck.
might be, yeah.
Luck or
No, seventh.
it would have been. I feel like it would have been Trubisky. I think Trubisky's still 10th, although he's missed a few games.
Or is it just
Now he's 13. Luck
it
would have been
Wilson?
there, but now it's Big Ben and then
Oh,
Ryan
wow.
and Goff.
Oh, Goff makes sense.
I have Ryan. Forgot about Ryan. Ryan's gonna be good this week, as you'll see by my rankings. Mahomes number 1. Yeah. If you don't want to play Patrick Mahomes in your fantasy playoffs, just drop him so someone else can play him. Because listen, if you think that he's so bad that you need to bench him, you should drop him so your opponent picks him up and plays him against you. Because you think he's gonna be bad enough to not play.
Yeah.
You see the
Amazing.
you see the logic of this?
Yeah.
At least you can goad him into playing him if you really have a stance he's going to be bad. Newton, Breeze, Luck, Winston, Ryan, Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, Big Ben, Russell Wilson, Trubisky, Josh Allen, and Dak Prescott. Josh Allen's floor every week, I'm going to say, is like 30 points. It's going to go tits up here one of these weeks, but just keep... Is it really going to be against the Jets?
I mean, honestly, his floor is 7 points.
His floor's probably more than
I'm
that.
looking right now. His floor is 5 points.
What week was that, though?
That was at Houston, at Baltimore. Oh, wait, at Green Bay was 1.9.
That's not good. The Houston game's the game where he got hurt.
Yeah.
That's fair. But still 5.6.
Well, I mean, in the sense, his floor, the rushing ability floor, I will now assume he gets 70 yards rushing in every game he plays.
And then
Because he has one read, and if he doesn't see that
Go!
read, he's running.
it's their best play.
It really is.
And because he runs so much, eventually you get like sleeping safeties who come up to try to stop the run.
Charles
and then
Clay was
and
wide
then
open.
There's someone wide open down the field. And he short-armed that throw, throwing a cross body to Charles Clay. It was
Still
like
at 50 yards.
It was a 45-yard throw. And he
Charles
like
Clay still should have caught it.
he still should have caught it,
100%.
but he like half lasered it. Like there was no arc on the ball, and he still almost got it there.
Yeah.
It's the Jets.
Again, watching a game like that, you really see both sides of the Josh Allen draft day argument, which is he doesn't know where the ball is going, but my God, does he look like he's just the best quarterback ever.
He also,
sometimes.
like, he's so gangly, he has this swim move that he does in traffic, like where he takes the ball down, goes like over people and takes off.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's like watching the
look. He has an amazing arm. He's erratic as hell. He makes amazing throws, can lose games because he doesn't know where the ball. All these things can be true. The fact is, Josh Allen's fun.
Oh yeah, very fun.
Oh, super fun. And
I'm a Dolphins fan, and I was cheering for Josh Allen.
oh, and also, well, you want the better
still
pick.
hate him.
You don't want Miami to get
yeah.
embarrassed in the playoffs.
Well,
Let's
they're
be real.
They could actually lose 5 games and still somehow have won 7 games. I don't know how it would happen, but it would happen. They're legally not allowed to pick higher than 12.
There's also the Josh Allen key too, where he gets sacked all the time, makes bad decisions, could throw pick sixes. That only works in his favor for fantasy
Couldn't
points.
be sacked last week.
No.
Just
and I'm
keeps
also
running
looking
around
at the
in
Jets.
circles.
The only 2 quarterbacks that didn't hit 19 points against them was the what do you call him, the Brock Lobster?
I
Or
mean,
Brockster?
he's the Brock Lobster. He could be the Brock Ness Monster. He could be
and,
taking
and
his
Baker
rocket
Mayfield
ship to
somehow in week 3. Those are the only 2 quarterbacks that didn't hit
Yeah,
19
That was
he
points.
only
given
played
at
a half,
halftime.
though.
Yeah, he only played a half in that game.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Josh Allen, number 12. Let's do it.
I'm fine with
Now,
it.
see, Trubisky's the better version of Josh Allen, where Lamar Jackson is the worst version of Josh Allen. On the
Just
Josh
keeps
Allen
getting more
scale,
racist.
it's not. Oh, yeah, I guess so. Can I say, I was going to say,
super white, and not white.
guys,
Yeah,
who
guy from Wyoming is the whitest, obviously.
I was going to throw Deshaun Watson into it, but he's not. He doesn't run as much as these guys run.
No.
He still runs enough, though.
Sure, yeah.
And he has a sweet matchup this week. I love that game for fantasy purposes. Just all the receivers in that game.
I just keep worrying that his passing volume isn't high enough, but at the same time,
That
we
only have to play him with DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
And on the other side, you can bring back T.Y. and Ebron, and you're fine.
Yeah. And we also inhabit a world in which a quarterback just threw for 4 touchdowns and only attempted 11 passes. So
It's a good ratio.
it's not bad.
Basically, Russell Wilson is having that Marcus Mariota season from 3 years ago.
I mean,
But then
that
some.
that
But more
particular
efficient.
thing was the first time that it happened in the post-merger NFL. Len Dawson came close in 1970.
Wilson has to be on a higher efficiency base.
Oh, he's crazy. His touchdown rate this season is over 9%, which Matt Ryan was at 7.5% 2 years ago when everyone was like, Matt Ryan was throwing touchdowns at a crazy rate. Now it's 9%.
Yeah, we kept. That's to your point. We kept complaining about the freaking Falcons that year and said it can't continue, and it's continued. To go earlier today, I was talking with somebody, Russell Wilson. You know how many games he's had without 2 touchdowns throwing? Just 1.
It was probably like week 1 or something.
In
It was at Arizona week 4.
in the 4 games he's thrown fewer than 25 passes. He's thrown for 3 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns.
He's good.
Maybe he's like
run to set up easy touchdowns.
he's the relief. You know when you have that guy who can throw 97, but he can't actually throw 100 pitches, so you just turn him into a relief. It's like Joe Kelly, where he's just an amazing reliever now. Russell Wilson throws
Familiar.
the best 20 passes of any quarterback in football, but he can't throw more than 20.
You want to know what's
By the way,
a fun
do you guys
fact?
know who the only quarterback this year is to throw at least 2 touchdowns in every single game is?
I would say luck, but it's not.
Nah, I
'cause
didn't
was-
start the season that
he
way.
missed it last week.
I'm
missed
gonna
quite a few, actually.
In every game?
Every single game, at least 2 touchdowns.
Cam.
You know what? I'm gonna
Nope.
say Philip
Cam
Rivers.
missed week 1.
I'm gonna say Philip Rivers.
Philip Rivers is correct.
The Riv. We had the
Also doesn't throw the ball a ton in terms of raw
Riv. Yeah.
volume.
Maybe I'm too low on the Riv. I have a number 14, but I don't want to.
Yeah,
He's the picture
I
of
would definitely have him
consistency.
inside the top 10. That's where I was going with this.
Although he does.
No, but I'd rather play the 2 running guys, Trubisky and Josh Allen, above him, and I just can't get away from the spot for Dak Prescott against Philadelphia. It's so sweet.
Yeah.
Colt McCoy was on his way to having a very nice game until he died.
Yeah, he was.
until he died.
Alas.
So in that range, I got like Dak, Rivers. I think that Rivers is the last like real trustworthy guy. Tom Brady, 16. He's
He
gonna
deserves to
shove
be
this.
there.
He's gonna shove this in my face and throw 5 touchdowns, isn't he?
That's on the
Probably.
table. I would just say that the Dolphins are so susceptible to be beaten up on the ground that
That they're gonna get Devlined.
they're gonna get
yeah.
Devlined. Yeah, I would just think that you get into goal line situations or anything inside the 10. I don't think they're gonna have that much trouble scoring on the ground.
Now Brady is a guy that if I had him, I would bank enough on him having a bad game that I would drop him to see if someone would play him against me. Because he can't.
That's legitimately fair. He's not a must start. He hasn't
Yeah.
been a must start in a long time.
Like if my opponent was playing Tom Brady against me, I'd be like, all right, I have a better quarterback going this week.
Yeah.
Because I'm playing Josh Allen.
It's amazing.
Isn't that great?
it's so fun.
And
It's
that,
so
I
fun.
mean, I guess there's probably the multiplier the other way where Brady could outscore Josh Allen by like 7 times
Yeah, I mean, again, I think
because Gronk scores 3
This
touchdowns. And
stuff-
we're like, oh yeah, this is dumb.
this stuff comes into play so non-frequently in fantasy football. But I guess if you're in like a 6-point touchdown league, I'd prefer Brady.
I wouldn't.
But
I wouldn't.
that's even close. Yeah, again, Josh Allen's just gonna run for 70 yards. I know that. It's,
And-
it's not anything I question.
And there's like touchdown upside that comes along with that too. Like his like
Brady just
rushing.
1,000 rushing yards for his career.
It's true. He did.
So
Watch out.
That was a good rushing touchdown.
What has
too.
Brady done on the road? It's not necessarily the road in Miami part. It's just the road part with Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean they've only lost
look at his
on the
road
road
games
this
so far.
season.
At Jacksonville, at Chicago, at Buffalo. He's had 3 out of the 6 really tough
He
ones.
played, but he played well in Chicago.
Yeah, at Detroit was miserable for some reason. At Tennessee was miserable. The Jets was 22 points, 283 and 2 touchdowns. So that was a fine game.
So he finished 11 behind Josh Allen.
I don't know.
It's just hasn't
Sony
been a very
Michel
good
just
season from Tom Brady.
Sony Michel had his way against the Dolphins the last time they met up. I don't really see why it would be different.
How hilariously aggravating was that game, by the way?
With
With the Rex Burkhead back,
Oh,
and then it's
yeah.
not even any of them. It's Devlin twice.
I mean, it encapsulates everything we've said about the Patriots running game for 10 years. In a way, it made sense. So I guess that helps ease the pain.
Like I said,
Brady hasn't had a 20-point game since that Chicago game.
Really? Didn't you say he had 22 points last week? Or against
No, that was
the
on
Jets?
I had the wrong scoring system pulled up. It's he only had 19 against the Jets.
Like the upside's just not there. You
Yeah.
want to listen. I guess the floor is there with Brady. He's probably going to get 1.
Yeah, even 2. But that's not
Yeah.
great.
Roll the dice
Again,
Let's play for some upside.
2 Tom Brady touchdowns might not equate to the
Ooh.
amount of yards Josh Allen is going to get you on the ground.
And to be honest, since his last 6 games or last 5 games, 0-1-0-2-1 for touchdowns.
So he's due for 8.
And can't win in Miami. Proven fact.
Please don't say he's due. I hate that.
Now, if you had to start one, would you start Sanchez or Sanchez? Because Garion talked to me about this, that I should have Sanchez ranked above Sanchez. But
He's
I
the
went.
original Sanchez.
I decided to give Sanchez the benefit of the doubt and rank him at number 31.
Is this the sort of thing where every father thinks his son will be better than him because he's passing down the life experiences and you can
Exactly.
only add to that? So the second coming of Sanchez should be better than the original Sanchez.
Yes.
Okay, that's fair. I can buy
That would be the logic that
Sure.
I would work
Okay.
with.
All right. So wait, what were we saying? Sanchez over Sanchez?
No, I'm going Sanchez over Sanchez by 1 spot.
No, I'm going Sanchez over Sanchez because of the matchup.
Tight ends. Jalen Samuel, number 1.
Yes.
I don't think he would be number 1. I'd still play Kelsey.
I was trying to figure this out. I would play Kelsey, Ebron, Ertz, and Kittle. Those are the
I'd
four
play
would
Kelsey, Ebron, and Ertz.
Oh, I wasn't kidding. He'd be number 1 at tight end.
I would put him at number 4 at tight end.
I'd still play Kittle ahead
Yeah.
of him. But,
I wouldn't play Kittle ahead of him.
but yeah, I'd 100% play Ertz over him.
So I have Evan Ingram, Swaim, Mo Alley-Cox, and Michael Roberts as out. Greg Olsen obviously done for the season. Let's see here. Kelsey, Ebron, Ertz, 1, 2, 3. Kittle, Gronk, Fantasy Pros. Slotted in Jared Cook. Enjoy that. David Njoku, Austin Hooper, Cameron Brate, Trey Burton. I really didn't want to rank Trey Burton inside the top 10, but I was like, oh, look who else is left. Kyle Rudolph, Jimmy Graham, Uzma, Jordan Reed with Sanchez, Chris Herndon with Sanchez, Vance McDonald, Dan Arnold, Ian Thomas, Jonnu Smith, Rhett Ellison. My poor man.
That's your boy. How do you not have Vance near the top 10 in this matchup?
Because
It's the best matchup.
it could also just be Jesse James.
That's always the fear. And to be honest, without a touchdown, if you look at Vance, no yards.
I wish my man, the Lacostitute, didn't let me down last week.
Still a great name.
What?
Matt Lacoste.
I know, but I didn't hear you say Lacostitute ever before.
He-
You didn't hear that? Oh.
He whored himself out for that touchdown 2 weeks ago. And then he got pip slapped last week. 0 points. Maybe he's learned his lesson this week and you can go back to him. I don't know. Probably not.
He's back turning tricks.
He's back turning tricks. Yeah. And he's only charging a number 21 ranking this week.
Maybe it's like Dave Chappelle warned us. Maybe he's just turned too many tricks. Every tight end has an odometer. You can't roll that thing back, Pat.
So Samuel would be 4 for me. He'd be 5
5
for
for me,
you,
yeah.
and he'd be 1 for you, Jake.
Yeah.
You'd
Running
really
back,
You'd
tight
really
end.
play Samuels over Kelsey?
Yeah, I'm getting 15 touches from a running back. I'm going to take that over a tight end every single time.
Travis Kelsey and I buy our earrings at the same place.
Like an online store?
No, we both buy them at Claire's.
Oh. It's nice.
I learned that when I spoke with Travis Kelsey.
You did. I'd feel like that's an engaging interview.
He was very good. We talked about reality TV for like 15
What'd you get, like
minutes.
10 earrings for $5?
Yeah, that's what I was like. Because I don't remember if I had mine in or not. I believe they told me to. Pat, you look like a moron. Don't wear those. I was like, all right, I'll just wear them in my day-to-day life. So I'm interviewing Travis Kelsey. I started talking about his earrings. I was like, real or fake? I was like, I only go fake because I just lose them. He's like, me too. It's like, I can't spend $50,000 on earrings. I would lose them. I was like, so where'd you get them? He's like, I bought like a 3-pack for $15 at Claire's.
That might be the most sensible thing I've heard an NFL player ever say.
Yeah, that's why he's number 1. He's the
Yeah,
best.
That's great.
Ebron, number 2, has yet to fail as chalk
Yeah.
this season. Sometimes it doesn't come till the last
Thank you for
second.
jinxing it.
What's that? Yeah, it's hard to go against him though.
He's just, it's such a high volume share.
The snap count, yeah, the volume last week is, yeah, you can't ignore that. It's got to burn Lions fans so much to see this happening.
So there's the top three. I think they're super safe. I think that Kittle is on a safety tier of his own, and then everyone after that is an absolute crapshoot.
Yeah,
There's some that are safer than others.
Yeah, I'd say Njoku, Hooper, and Braid are fine. Gronk too. Yeah. But yeah, I would say right around Trey Burton.
How good was Braid last week? All he did was drop a touchdown.
Yeah, but at least he had the chance to drop a
touchdown.
Loser. He also didn't get tackled at like the 1. Loser. And that led to the fumble.
Yeah, if he was so good, he would have gotten the end zone.
Sure, but again, there's the opportunity.
The opportunities were there. And Njoku's got the nice matchup this week.
He had a great one last week though too.
Yeah, it didn't work out. Didn't work out. Like Jimmy Graham, 8 for 50 last week.
But he's been prone to disappear. Like I think he's had 4 1-reception games this season.
Like Uzma, I have no faith in, but he's going to have 49 targets in this game.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, to that point, I think it's nice that you are actually one of the few people giving Rhett Ellison respect. Like Eli Manning likes this tight end. And for the fact that Evan Ingram's been out, he continues to throw, 5, 6, 7 targets his way.
Yeah.
I mean, number 20 is not the most amount of respect.
No. But I mean, there's a lot of people at the tight end position is miserable. There are people that are desperate out there in the playoffs that might have to go to a Rhett Ellison.
Do you think that Josh Allen hates Charles Clay now, so he'll only throw to Kroom?
Oh, it's like Charles Clay's done anything this year.
He could have caught a touchdown last week. That was the highlight of his year.
I was going to say that might have been the only thing he's done this year is not catch a touchdown.
I'm going to start perpetuating the rumor that Josh Allen is just colorblind. So he doesn't actually know who he's throwing to. He just sees people who are open.
I mean, he led I forget it. Who had the pick last week for the Dolphins?
Xavier Howard.
Was it Howard?
Yeah.
He led him in stride right to him.
Yep.
It's like, oh, sick pass, Josh. Then all of a sudden they get the ball back and it's just down. More field for Josh to run down.
Maybe that's what he wanted.
Yeah, just to pad his stats.
Yeah.
I am all for him padding his stats this week. I wonder if he's gonna be. Do you think he'll be chalky? Because no one bought in last week, but now that he's done it 2 weeks in a row, people will buy in.
People will be interested this week.
The best QB play. The best QB play on DraftKings. Matt Ryan's $5,600. That
seems cheap.
Their offense looks terrible, but they're playing the Packers. I think that Aaron Rodgers might be in FU mode.
I kind of like.
My problem would be though. This is gonna be such a good Jeff week because the baby owl's back.
The baby owl is back. Woo!
Oh, this is gonna be a great Feinberg episode. Everyone tune in Wednesday for classic Feinberg.
Okay, Feinberg. The Chargers won in prime time.
Yep. And people are getting at him for how they won too. So he's been real defensive on Twitter.
Oh, he has been.
Tim has Aquafit.
Oh, breaking news.
The earlier one that I didn't bring up, just so you know, Deontay Foreman was activated. CJ Anderson has a new team. Do you want to guess where?
Oh, okay. So it's not. I assume it's not the Chiefs. If that's what you're saying.
Because they signed Shark,
it's not the Chiefs, but it will make you happy for a discussion we had earlier in the show about a running back.
Oakland.
Yes.
Oh no. Well, I am gonna have to find a Doug
now I have
replacement.
To go
Judge Ito.
No.
They're saving you from yourself.
Maybe.
Will he even play this week?
Wouldn't surprise me.
Watch
CJ Anderson finish like top 12.
I have a feeling.
Why are they signing CJ Anderson?
I have a feeling that his playbook's not very complicated to pick up.
And maybe
I don't know.
Gruden watched a lot of film. They said, this guy right here, I tell you what, he's a real grinder.
The report
the last time he played, he was still a broadcaster, so he doesn't know what's been going on.
So here's the report is that he's going to compete with Martin, Richard, and Washington for touches because all 3 fumbled against the Chiefs.
How about this? Just play Richard if you have to play one. Because they suck and they'll be losing, so they'll throw to Richard.
That's very fair.
And he's very fast.
He is. He's got quicks.
He goes
rocket.
Big time. He is a rocket. He's like the Brocket ship, but he's actually on the field half the time. Defenses. To close this out, I got the Chargers at number 1, the Broncos at number 2, Buffalo, Jacksonville, Tennessee, Pittsburgh, the Saints, Dallas, Arizona, Houston, then the Lions, the Chiefs, the Bears, the Rams, the Colts, Jets, and Giants. Do you have any specific case you'd like to make for any particular defense? Because that Jacksonville, Tennessee game, the one thing is you might get into too many running scenarios where they don't pile up points, but I just... that game has turnovers written all over it.
Yeah. I do like Detroit, but I just don't know how much higher I'd be willing to go with Detroit.
The problem with Detroit has been that ever since they got Snacks, that
Their pass rush
has been kind of decimated. It was so good.
He's too one-dimensional. That's why the Giants traded him. And you saw exactly what happened. Now the Giants' pass defense is playing well, and the run defense sucks ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
After that, I bet you would have never guessed that I'd be the first person to curse on your episode.
I know. I was really trying. I mean, I don't think ass is really. That's not pushing the boundaries of swearing on this show.
No. You've been doing terrific. And by the way, for the people commenting, I'm not like, oh, Pat, don't curse around. This is for the athletic. It's just professional thing. Shut the hell up.
No, it's not. It makes poor Jakey's ears bleed. Ah, my ears! My freaking ears!
I didn't know that's where you were going with it.
Bears against the Rams at home. I have them at 13.
I think it's a fair spot.
It sucks so much.
Yeah.
They could be really good. I'm not going to take that away from
I mean, Goff did not play well last week. And if he has the same type of accuracy he had last week, this week, he will throw interceptions. But
you could take the chance if you wanted to, but I think they're just safer defenses.
Defenses are so capricious anyway that, like, what? We're giving them 5 points because they have a good pass rush? You could find 5 points
Word of
pretty
the
much.
day there, Garion.
It's an R.A. Dickey word.
Did
Did R.A. Dickey never say capricious in 1,000 press conferences with the Mets? Because I know that's the only reason I know that word is because he never stopped.
I know it. I know it from Friends. Friends.
From Friends?
People can't even see. There you go.
Well, that was
There
the
you
thing.
go.
We couldn't see it when you came on, and then we just thought it was a Chinatown knockoff Friends shirt.
Which would be terrific. That might be a better T-shirt than what it is.
Do you have the rankings in front of you in terms of fantasy points this season?
Bears are leading.
For
I'm trying
defenses?
to figure out how much they're leading
I
by.
believe, Meanie and I went over this on Monday's show. I believe they've outscored every other defense by, I think, like at least 35 points.
Are we talking about the Bears?
Yeah, the
Wouldn't
Bears.
shock me. They have like what
28
5 defensive touchdowns this
28
season?
points.
28
28 points.
28
They're
points.
averaging 2.3 more per game. The next closest is the Rams.
Oh, really? Where are the Vikings? So in the ESPN just total list I looked at, the Vikings were third.
The Vikings are 5th.
Oh, like their defense has been good all year.
ESPN, and NFL and CBS are all just barely different on defenses. That's why.
I think a lot of that Minnesota was that like 12 sack game they had against Matt Stafford.
Yeah, the same with
That's
the Rams.
skewing
The
it.
Rams have had 3 games where they've scored 20 points, and they've had a bunch of weeks where they've had negative weeks.
Yeah, the Vikings have 17, 13, 11, and 18, and then like every single other game is like 3 or 4.
So the move was, there's very few actually good takeaways that I give people, actionable info on this show. But it was after like week 12, just pick up Denver's defense because everyone's going to drop them. I forget who they played. Just pick them up and ride them through.
Yeah, it was Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, yeah. Everyone's going to drop them in this matchup. Just pick them up and you can play them for the next 4 weeks.
Great.
It might not
Do you
work
wanna
out
know that-
because it's defenses, but it's a great matchup.
You know what the Bears' defensive worst game was this season? 1 point. You know who it was against?
It's against someone awful, isn't it?
Oh, the Dolphins.
The Jets.
Oh.
They had 1 sack. The end. 1 point.
They played the
They have
Jets?
double digits in all
Yeah,
but
they
4
play in the
games.
AFC East this year.
Yeah, but I just don't remember that game ever happening. What
It was
week was that?
It was so boring. It was a 1 o'clock
was
game in
week
like
8.
week 8. Yeah, and I think the final score that was the one where Tariq Cohen had 1 touch and it was a 75-yard touchdown.
That's right.
Just a sidebar, real quick. That's actually why I do like some sites that will give out points for holding teams under certain yardage because they held them to 153 passing and 57 rushing.
Yeah, they played great.
Yeah,
But them's is not the rules.
yeah. It's why
If they were the rules, then you would have to rejig everything.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about this Jalen Samuel tight end thing just for a second because
Oh, yeah.
people are so whiny about this stuff. That's what he is.
Yeah.
Deal with it, right? I'm not crazy here.
I think this is what makes fantasy fun. Like,
Absolutely.
look,
It's like the Colston year. And now the problem is there's more internet stuff now that people can actually read
Sure.
about how valuable this is. But I remember the Colston year. And I remember trading for
I do
Colston
too.
after week 2 being like, oh, this guy's infinitely more valuable than any other tight end. But no one else realized it. Now there's everyone to
and
tell
I'll
you that
say
they don't
this
realize it.
because he will bring it up at some point this week. Do you remember in week 2, I think it was,
Oh, yeah, Tim
when
was-
Tim started Jalen Samuel at tight end and was real excited about it? He didn't take the field, but
He had the right idea.
That's a thing. He was like, I was like, why do you have this guy on your bench? And he's like, well, he's a handcuff and he plays tight end. Like,
And then he scored 0 points, so Tim dropped
but
him.
in retrospect, as a handcuff, not the worst idea in the world. So
I'm not gonna get like super upset about it.
You should
but I will say,
get triggered.
No, I don't like it. I'll let you know. We actually, the Colston year, I even referenced it in the article, is we made a league-wide rule was that you just couldn't use him as a tight end. But we made it as a league-wide rule. Make your rule if you want to make your rule. I said if your league doesn't own him right now, if he's out there on waivers, which is 90% of Yahoo, make the league-wide rule. You can only pick him up and use him as a running back. If you want to play, if you don't want that, that's fine. Play how you want to play. I just don't think you should allow that at this point because nobody was waiting for week 14 to roll around to get a running back in the tight end position. That is an unfair advantage.
But it is an unfair advantage, but he's been a tight end all year. And I'm not big on changing the rules midstream.
No, that's fair. That's why I said league wide. Like you can't just have like two people be like, oh, we don't want it, especially like playoff teams. But if he's on waivers and not picked up yet, that's what I'm saying. Somebody stashed him the whole year. You can't really do that because he's already on somebody's team. But if he's on waivers and he hasn't been picked up yet, I'm okay with making the rule of you can only pick him up as a running back. I'm just saying, I would.
You would have a hard time convincing the guy who had the number one waiver priority in my league or the most.
But that's my point, is you weren't holding that spot for this. You were holding that spot to get.
Yeah, but if it was me and I had the number one waiver priority and I needed a tight end, I would be like,
changing my tune here.
Screw that.
Right, of course you would.
I would say, though, I agree with what Jake's saying. If you can get a consensus in your league and no one has owned him to this point, that's fine. But I take the stance that I think
it can't be a consensus. It needs to be everybody. At least everyone's who's left in the playoffs.
Not consensus.
No, I
You're
say
right.
like
It has to be everybody.
Votes.
But
no, because then you screw the guy who would get him.
Yeah, I agree. It has to be everybody.
That's why you're never going to get a consensus because he's never going to vote yes.
Of course.
This is why you can't really change the rules
rules
mid-season. I think this is what like fantasy football is not actual football, and I like when these weird things happen. It reminds me why this was fun 15 years ago.
And that's all fair.
Can
we just blame Yahoo? I mean, really? That's really.
But that's
the
their
truth.
gimmick. This is a baseball conversation in football. That's what makes it
With
fun
Ohtani?
too. Ohtani, but man, this is Anthony Rizzo 2 years ago. Like this is the fun stuff. This is how many games has Russell Martin play? I mean, not that he's moving from catcher, but like by season's end, Russell Martin had catcher, third base, shortstop, second base eligible. That's fun. I like it. It's fun. Get excited. Fun.
Did Nando tell you to get excited, Jake?
No, he didn't.
He will. Get excited.
Just wait for it.
Yeah, I mean, he used to tell me that like 3 times a day. I'm not.
Oh, every time we have a phone call. I thought you meant today specifically.
Oh no, I just felt like that was like every day.
Oh no, every time we talk, pretty much. Every like emails. I'm pretty sure I could find an email within the last 2 days ago. Get excited, everybody.
Get excited. You're all fired. That's how it was.
A couple years
that's
back.
how it was in fantasy.
Yeah.
But now you guys are stable.
Well, now we're good times. Hey, well, Ox, see, are you going to be at FSTA? Well, you actually get to go.
When is FSTA?
You guys have had this conversation
January
already.
22nd and 23rd. Oh, did we?
Due to outside circumstances.
Oh yeah, that's now I remember the conversation. Gary.
You remember the conversation?
Yep.
Yes, I edited that out. That news will be coming out soon.
Yes.
I eventually have to tell people what's going on.
Eh.
I'm sure they figured it.
Eh.
I'm sure the savvy viewers have figured it out by now.
Probably.
But I will not be able to attend January 23rd. In fact, I might not be able to do my show for a little bit.
Give or take.
Give or take a little bit.
Yeah.
So you might get Garion hosting the Pat Mayo experience.
Sucks to be you guys.
Yeah, you want to see people mad. People get mad at me. Imagine you hosting.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say people might be happy
You'll be
just
talking
because
about
it is
baseball?
baseball season, but people will be more upset because it's the start of golf season.
I'm trying to work this out where I can still finagle golf and football.
I could just have Feinberg on to yell at me about golf.
Yeah, but Feinberg without any direction could be
That's
very
true.
problematic.
That's true.
He'd just be looking at himself like this in the TV the entire time, doing his hair.
Have you ever had a Jeff and Andercuss together?
Oh yeah, every week.
That's the Wednesday show.
That's
That's
the
why tomorrow's show is going to be great. So many topics to hit on.
They like to bicker. Like to bicker. Tim's all pumped that Notre Dame got the 3 seed.
Yeah.
I forgot
I
that
didn't know
both
that
you
was the
were
Wednesday
Notre
show. I might have to tune in tomorrow.
Oh,
Yeah, we're both Notre Dame fans too.
why are you
Yep,
also
we
Notre
are.
Dame fans?
They were just on TV. I think everyone gets their crappy team that everyone can hate.
I do enjoy that there's people from in my exact age range who grew up and knew nothing about college basketball yet turned out to be Georgetown fans. Very popular, like just random shirt you can find at the store.
I would say though that's not dissimilar
really good.
to Notre Dame fandom. Like when I hopped on, I started watching games in like 1999. They haven't been good
when you were
in
3.
In a long
born
time.
in
Oh yes,
92.
Paul, you have a question, sir.
It was the starter pullovers.
The starter
Yeah.
pullover, Notre Dame.
Is what everyone
the Hoyas.
Oh my
Yeah.
Oh, the Hoyas, yeah.
Yeah. But I haven't seen it. Like, they're a bandwagon team, yes. But have I really ever seen a good Notre Dame team that was deserving of being
They're not
bandwagoned?
bandwagon anymore.
Not really. Yeah, it's a thing.
Oh,
They
they're
haven't been
still
bandwagon in a
super
while.
bandwagony.
Oh, they are. But I'm
No,
just saying, like, they're
now
not.
this year,
This is
but
not the
not
80s
then.
anymore with Notre Dame.
Do you agree with Tim's statement that Notre Dame doesn't need college football, but college football
No,
needs
that's-
Notre Dame?
That's dumb. Tim is full of
Maybe
himself.
maybe in the 80s and 90s, but not
Yeah,
anymore.
Not now. Not
The
now.
answer is no. College football would
No.
still exist without Notre
Sure.
Dame.
Yeah.
Hate to tell you.
I'm on your side.
I think that's more
Crazy
Alabama at
talk.
this point.
Crazy
Freaking
talk.
Alabama.
Alabama should start its own league. Pay its players and just have like a super conference.
They kind of already do.
I was gonna say, anywhere they go, people will just be like, look how good all these teams are. They keep losing to each other, but they only lose to each other because they're all so good.
Don't ever say that on Twitter, Gary. And my mentions were on fire for about 5 hours.
Not your Menchies.
Yeah, your
No.
Menchies, watch out. All right, that will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Jake, tell everyone what you got going on at The Athletic.
Yeah, The Athletic has the rankings coming out tonight, being Tuesday at midnight as always. So if it's after this, they're already up for you guys. And just like Pat, they're updated every day all the way through Sunday at 12:30. And then the podcast, All in Sports, check it out. David Wright this week, and then I follow up with good old Garion next week.
Again, we talked about this last time. You got to pimp the Patreon.
Oh, sorry. Yes, patreon.com/all in sports, which, by the way, we haven't. This is the middle of December. We're giving away a signed Keenan Allen jersey.
Oh, you should
Where
send
do
that
you
to
get cool
Matt
stuff
Barry.
to give away?
Just send it to
Actually-
Barry and be like, thanks for your hot takes about kickers, and send him a Keenan Allen jersey.
Oh, there you go. I also just gave this away on my podcast today, the Michael Thomas signed helmet.
A little mini home.
That's nice.
A little mini. Gary,
I'm
you?
very generous.
Yeah, just check out the DK Live app, download that if you haven't already, and
Check out Garion's updated San Francisco 49ers blurbs on the app.
Yeah, but no, right. Showdown stuff on Mondays and Wednesdays, and yeah,
That's it.
Check me out on the Sweat
Oh, and
on
the Twitter
occasion.
machines at Garion Thorne.
at Garion Thorne.
I'm also giving away stuff. I'm giving away 20 DK dollars to some people out there. And there's one of two ways you can get in the draw from this show alone. One, smash the like button. Why wouldn't you do that anyway? Leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section. Tell me where you would rank Jalen Samuel in the running back rankings, PPR style, this week, and where you'd rank Stephen Ridley along with that. And if you are an audio listener, God bless your soul. Maybe you're both. That would be fantastic. But in order to get to 10 million downloads, I need some reviews, people. Need some ratings, need some reviews. So if you go to wherever it is that you listen on, iTunes, could be Stitcher, could be Spotify, Radio Public, TuneIn, doesn't really matter to me. But what matters to me is that you leave a 5-star review, say something nice about the show, and include your DK handle, and you are in the draw for 20 DK dollars. Winners announced on a Monday show, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and I'll be back live with Garion and Cust on Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Be there. Always smash the like button because that keeps the show completely free. I mean, why would you want to pay for such terrible advice? It's free. Can't really complain, right? You'll complain, but you know what I'm talking about. I'm Pat Mayo. Thank you for watching. Good luck in your fantasy playoffs. Remember, don't be a coward. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!